Hey guys, how is it going? So this is probably my third attempt at this video because it is so hot in the UK right now, and this heat is melting my brain. So this video is gonna be all about my path and where I started, where I've come from, what I've done since whenever, and where I am now. So let's get started. I'm just going to talk about me personally first before I talk about my path and my practice. So me personally, I like to see myself in the context of my elements, and my correspondences is what I align with. So my main star sign, which is Virgo, is an earth sign, which makes total sense. I'm quite earthy, I'm quite practical, quite grounded, quite down to earth. I like my crystals, I like being in nature, I like animals, I like being in the here and now, you know. Then my moon sign, which is a Scorpio, is water, and again makes sense. I love the ocean, I love seashells, I love dolphins, I love the moon, I anything mermaid related. I love. Like my favourite Disney film is A Little Mermaid. Quite emotional in a way. I wouldn't say I'm emotionally ruled, but I like to let my emotions sort of help me with my moment that I'm in. I'm in the moment. You know, I'm in a joyful energy. You know, I'm letting that energy encapsulate the moment. Yeah, that's just a little bit about my elements, I guess. As a person, I'm quite compassionate, quite kind, I think about the bigger picture about the situation or something, and I sort of, you know, quite intuitive, very intuitive actually. I like to say quite very intuitive. Very wise as well, as I've come to figure. Like, I may be 20 years old, but I think I'm really wise, and I love helping people, you know, with wisdom and advice and stuff like that, or anything spiritual, anything witchy related or pagan related, stuff like that. So yeah, my path, how did my practice start out? So I was 14 years old at the time. So yeah, backtracked when I was 14. And there was this friend that I had, and we used to hang out at this group that we went to together that was like a group of like-minded people for, I think it was like a book group, I think it was. And she had this notebook, and she had a few books as well, and they were on Wicca, and I was always interested in Wicca. I was always asking her questions about it, and that was how my interest in Wicca and paganism started out. I'd found out about Wicca, and then I think I'd already joined this website. There's a website out there called Gaia Online, and it's a forum-based website, and you can create like an avatar and dress your avatar up and whatever. And there's some forums on there that are called guilds, and these are guilds are basically a forum for people with a common interest. And there was one on there called Midnight Moon, and it was a pagan guild. And I joined this guild, and in one of their subforums they had it was called the Witch's Archive, and there was another forum in there called the Recommended Reading List. So I went on there, and basically I looked through all the books, I looked at the titles, and I researched the books, read the reviews, and went to my local library and I ordered some of them. Which I don't know if you can still do that in the UK, but if you can, there's a book they don't have in that library, you can order it, and they can bring it in, and it'll either come from another library or it will be ordered from Amazon. Yeah, I did that. And the books I ordered were Scott Cunningham's Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner, and Living Wicca as well. Wicca for Beginners by Thea Sabin, and The Complete Book of Witchcraft by Raymond Butland. So I started learning about mainly Wicca. It's where it all started out. And I wouldn't say I'm Wiccan now, because my beliefs have changed, but I started learning about Wicca. I started doing the Sabbats and the Esbats, started celebrating the pagan holidays, doing spellcraft. I had an altar set up from things that I'd bought for like a really cheap price. So like a few crystals and some candles and an old t-shirt There's an altar cloth, and then my altar has evolved and changed as well over the years. It's moved from here to opposite this, and then it's moved to just on the right hand side of this tapestry where there's this green one. I'll have to show you. That's my altar, all set up for summer solstice. But yeah, that happened. Another thing as well is around that time as well I got into divination, so I purchased my ever first oracle card deck, which was a deck by Doreen Virtue called Magical Mermaids and Dolphins, and I love mermaids and I love dolphins, so that deck is perfect for me, and it still is. I used it heavily at the time. Now we're going to go a bit more, so getting into Wicca, you know, embracing the religion, knowing the god and goddess, learning more about it, feeling quite new to the path as well. So we'll go forwards a little bit more. Now, I, at the time, got into a relationship with someone, and this relationship lasted around 4 months, and after we broke up, I don't think it was because of the breakup, but after we broke up, I kind of just drifted from the pagan path. I drifted from Wicca, took down my altar, stopped reading about it, you know, stopped doing things that were Wiccan related, and I just kind of strayed from it. I'm not exactly sure why, it just happened. And between then and recently, it's just a bit of a gap, really. I mean, when I went to university, which was back in 2015, when I packed my things to go to university, I took my pagan stuff with me. I don't know why, but I did, and I actually used it a couple of times at university. So I kind of started jumping back onto the path a little bit slowly. Now we're going to fast forward to August last year, when I met someone who I'm going to call my catalyst, and I had a spiritual awakening. That's what some people or others would call a spiritual awakening. And this event caused me to think it was kind of the divine or the universe saying to me, like, you know, you belong on this path, now we're going to push you back on it. I think that's kind of what happened. So yeah, I was, you know, thrown back onto the right path, and after my awakening, I started getting into my paganism more. You know, for Yule, I got a Amazon voucher, and all I bought with that was books. I just bought books on the craft and paganism, and since then I've just been learning more and more and more. Also back then, I started getting into tarot. I started reading about it. I started feeling like, you know, maybe tarot is something I should start doing, and I basically thought to myself, well, if I'm meant to do tarot, a deck will find me. And that's exactly what happened. I was in a shop, one of my favourite witch shops actually, here in Manchester, in Affleck's Palace. It's called Freak Boutique. Some people might know what I'm talking about. I love it in there. But anyway, the deck that I got, and actually, before I show you this deck, anyone that knows me knows I'm a deck fan. Like, I love using decks for divination. And I have 9 decks in total, so that's 3 tarot decks and 6 oracle decks in total. So I have quite a deck collection at the moment. The deck that I got was the Silver Witchcraft Tarot by Barbara Moore. This is a little booklet that came with it. Now, I'm going to just pause before I show you the deck. Everything on my altar, and as I mentioned, I am moon oriented, I love the moon. But everything on my altar that's metal, apart from my cauldron, is made out of steel or silver, or something silver plated. And this deck's called the Silver Witchcraft Tarot, and the sides of the cards are silver, metallic silver, and on the back you've got the triple moon symbol. This deck, it just speaks to me on so many levels. So I saw this deck in the shop and I was like, that's my deck. Now, on the box of the deck comes in, there's one of the cards, and the card that's on that deck, on the box, is this one, which is the Ace of Chalices, and I love this card. I was like, when I saw this, I was like, the moon, the water, the nighttime, like, this resonates with me, and I think I've just found my tarot deck. So I I asked the person in the shop, could I look at the deck, and they said sure. And as I was looking through it, I just fell more in love with the cards, and I was like, this is the deck I need to get. And this is very pagan in imagery, so in the 4 suits, so in Pentacles, people wear green robes. You can see that. And then in Chalices, you've got blue robes for water, obviously, and then Wands, they wear red robes, and for Swords they wear yellow. I can't find any swords at the minute, but I'm just going to show you a few of the major arcana as well. The Magician, and all the major arcana people are on a pilf, like a pilf, apart from the Fool card. The Fool isn't. But I love this deck. I love this card, the Knight of Chalices, the Dolphin. Love it. But yeah, this is my first tarot deck, and tarot was sort of the beginning of me working with my intuitive gifts and my intuitive abilities more. I picked up tarot really easily, really quickly. Didn't realise I could. I thought it'd be a struggle before I even thought tarot should be a thing I should get myself into, but before then I was like, I'll probably struggle with tarot, but obviously I didn't, which is great. And I'm just to let people know, I have the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot, and also got the Book of Shadows tarot, Volume 1, as above, by Barbara Moore. Again, this is also the person that did the deck I ever first bought. Now, the Book of Shadows tarot is very different from traditional tarot. It's quite a challenging deck to work with. The major arcana, the names of the cards are different, and this is the strength card, and instead it's called spellcasting. But nonetheless, it's a super cool card. The minor arcana are different as well. It's, instead of swords, wands, pentacles, and cups, it's the elements. So cups is water, wands is fire, and so on. And the suits are different. So for the cups, a water suit, it's all the goddesses, and the 10 of water is Hecate at the crossroads, which is nothing like the traditional 10 of cups cards. So this deck is entirely different to, you know, most tarot decks, which is why I like it so much. It's good. It's a witch themed deck, and I love it. The moon card is Samhain. You can see Death riding his chariot in the sky, and someone's doing some divination under the full moon. I love that. And the sun is Letha. You can see that. But yeah, that's just showing off my tarot cards, but that's one of my other favourite decks as well. And the Rider-Waite one as well. But tarot helped me get onto my spiritual journey more. Now, the next thing that I recently also got into, and this is something that happened, and the story behind it is actually quite interesting. So for a while, my matron goddess had been trying to get my attention. She'd been sending me signs. I would collect things in relation to her without even realizing. Animals that are sacred to her would always either be around me or follow me or guide me, such as crows and ravens, and I love wolves as well, and wolves are one of her sacred animals. And my goddess is Ceridwen, and she's the Welsh goddess of rebirth, transformation, magic, death, poetry, and inspiration. There's this road, and so as I was walking home up this road, and there's a wall, and below that wall is a train tracks, and the road just goes over. So on this wall, a crow landed, and as I was walking past, it cawed in my face, and it was like crowing away at me, and I was just thinking, like, I stood and stopped, and I was thinking to myself, like, that's never happened before, that's kind of weird. And then I kind of had the notion that something was trying to get my attention. So I went back home, I did some research, I did this meditation where you figure out your matron deity, and I got the name Ceridwen. And it turns out she's my matron goddess, and I've I set up an altar for her. I work with her all the time, and she's sort of also the reason now where I'm starting to realise I'm actually, well, even before that, I realised I wasn't Wiccan, because I don't believe in the threefold law anymore. I believe in karma and I believe in the law of attraction, but I don't believe in the threefold law. And I'm also quite, I mean, because I'm getting into traditional witchcraft as well and old school magic, I'm starting to see why people back in like olden times, they cursed and hexed, and they dealt with people in a justice sense of magic. I'm starting to understand the left hand path as well as the right hand path, and I think that's fine. I think that's okay. So yeah, I'm quite interested by the left hand path as well. Another thing that Caradwan's helped me see as well is that I have quite Celtic roots. In weird ways. Like, I wouldn't say in an ancestral way, because I have no idea how far down my ancestral line goes, but I have, like, ironically enough, I have family from Wales, and Caradwan is from Wales. One of my closest friends, who I consider as family, is also from Wales, and I'm just like, every time I realise these things, I'm like, why did I not realise the connection, like, between that and my goddess? And it just makes a lot of sense. But yeah, Celtic paganism and folk magic as well. Folk magic is something I absolutely love, and it's kind of something I've always been interested in. So natural magic and green witchcraft are two things that are kind of the same thing, I guess, and I just love using those kinds of correspondences in magic, and I kind of think it applies to a lot of magical practice regardless of what you call it or what type of magical practice you do. But I love nature. I love using natural things in my spell work, so crystals, herbs, plants, woods, leaves, all that stuff. Using the elements as well in my practice, and using elemental magic as part of natural magic, and that's something that was done back in the day when witches were around, and witchcraft was part of everyday life, and it was part of people's, their work and what they did as people. It was kind of an ordinary thing, and folk magic that's where that comes from. Folk magic and natural magic, and that's traditional witchcraft, and that is something I'm interested in. Now, a new thing that I recently got into as well is one thing that I'm so amazed by how I got into it. So I just started feeling drawn to these things, like getting into shamanism. Started getting into shamanic practice, work and stuff, and I kind of figured that I've always been able to do shamanic things, I just haven't realised it. So as I got into shamanism, it's like when I found Wicca, or when I found neo-paganism, there's an extract in Scott Cunningham's Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner, and I think it's in his Book of Shadows in the book. It's called Before Time Was, and it's like the Wiccan creation story, and that resonates with me so much, and I kind of had that feeling where I was like, I already believe all this, or this kind of already makes sense to me. I've always had these kinds of beliefs, and I just never knew what to call them. So I've always been a pagan, I would say, but I never really understood until I got into things. And the same with shamanism. I think paganism, like neo-paganism and witchcraft and shamanism, kind of go hand in hand. But shamanism itself, in a cultural sense and sort of its own practice, also resonates with me as well. And that's something I'm getting into now. I'm starting to study it more. I'm starting to look into it more, research, all that kind of stuff. And I think it's a new thing that I'm meant to embrace as well, like a new spiritual practice that I can welcome into my path, that I can work on. But yeah, that's pretty much all my path rolled into one video, I guess. It's quite quick storytelling, but that's kind of how I remember it. Now, I'm just going to put this in here because I've not mentioned it in any of the videos, but I do tarot and oracle card readings professionally, so if you are interested in wanting a reading, I'll put my website at the bottom in the description, and also my Facebook and Instagram pages if you want to go and follow them, because on those pages I do daily guidance messages. I haven't been able to do any recently because my phone's been sent off for repair, but I will be doing them as soon as possible, probably tomorrow, maybe Wednesday. As soon as my phone's back, I'll be doing daily guidance posts for the collective, so daily guidance for the collective if you're interested. But yeah, please check out my website for tarot and oracle card readings, and let me know if you want a reading. I can do readings over Skype, and I can do them in person if you're in my area, that is. But yeah, and also because the full moon's coming up, if you want to book your full moon reading now. So you want more intuitive guidance, full moon reading, book one. Or just want a regular reading, that's totally fine. But the full moon readings are any of the readings that I put in my services tab on my website, but they can go on for longer and you won't be charged for the extra time. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you have an amazing day and blessed be. Bye.